Goldberg is reckless. Goldberg is careless. Goldberg is rough to work. I'm going to start off with what Bill Goldberg was like as a person, not personally, with the limited amount of time I've been around him. Always a really nice, and I use this word for some reason with him, doesn't fit, just a very sweet guy, a very nice guy, very cool. Obviously, just like Austin, and talk about Rocky and other people, a certain intensity where he stands out. Wrestlers just have an aura about them, athletes, entertainers, but especially pro wrestlers have some aura that's just different. It's kind of like Vince McMahon. If this person, like a Goldberg, walked through an airport, are people going to look and say, "What's that guy do?" That's the it factor that Goldberg has on a professional level. On a personal level, you still sense that he's just a different dude, like intense, not different, like weird. We'll get to the weird stuff in a minute, but he was always very disarming towards me because he armed himself extra in the ring. So he's extra disarming outside the ring. He was lulling me into a false sense of security before the match. You were already laughing. You're like, yeah, he's disarming, all right. So, but in the ring, Goldberg's every bit what Brett says he is. Goldberg is reckless. Goldberg is careless. Goldberg is rough to work. Goldberg hurts himself every bit, if not more, than his opponent. I've covered that on what does it feel like to get speared by Goldberg, or what does it feel like to wrestle him. He's there. It's essentially real in so many ways. Now his punches were good. They didn't punch a whole lot, but they weren't there. They were there a little bit, but no more than any other pro wrestler. But everything football related, requiring his body to make contact with yours. Shoulder blocks, power slams, of course, the spear, the jackhammer is about as real as you can feel in a professional wrestling environment. Now, does that mean he's hitting you hard or he's bumping you hard in safe places? Yeah, most of the time. There's times where he speared me and I would tell him beforehand, the first time he speared me, I wasn't even looking. And he speared me and his chin or the top of his head came under my chin. And I hit the back of my head pretty hard. And I probably felt kind of what Brett felt on the figure four ring post spot, but Goldberg's body like smeared across me, like an oil slick of stiffness. And it's just a rough night. It's not a night off wrestling Goldberg, but I will say this, it's over pretty quick. But for the bumps you take in a 2-minute match with Goldberg, they can sometimes equal a 30-minute match, a 30-minute Ironman match where you're bumping your ass off. I would say not that, you know what it is? He wasn't the hardest person to work. Heidenreich was the hardest person to be in the ring with, without a shadow of a doubt. Goldberg, if you knew what he was, how he operated, and he deferred to me for the spots in the match. So not saying like he knew what he was doing at that point. He knew what Goldberg was, but he let me formulate, possibly because I'm taking all these moves and I'm taking a finish from him. I can at least formulate what the match is going to look like. Like that whole match we had on Raw, he agreed to it. He said, "Oh yeah, I like this here and there. Maybe we can do this." But for the most part, I put that entire 90 seconds or whatever together. I'll jump you a little bit. Don't sell. Kick me. I'll bump. Pick me up if you want to. And he said, "Oh, I want to do the press slam into the spine buster." I said, "That's cool." I go, and I said to him, "Hey, can we try it here? Because I'm really ass heavy. I'm a lot heavier than I look." So he picked me up. We got the timing down, and he goes, "When I do this, I'm going to spin you. Just make sure your arms are over me, for the spine buster." And then I said, "Okay, well, when I do that, dude, it's such a devastating move. Give me time to sell. Go to the corner. I'm going to get up on my back to you. When I turn around about, say, 5/8, 6/8 around, start running, and I'll run towards you and we'll meet. And then take your time. It's all you, and just pick me up whenever for the jackhammer." And I even said to him, I go, "I'm pretty light with that. So when I pick you up, if you feel like you just want to put one arm out, I'll keep myself posted." and then we're done. So he was easy to work from a personality standpoint, but physically one of the roughest guys to be in the ring with.
In 2000, I'm presuming 2003, I believe this would be.
2003, 2004. I had just started growing my hair back. I lost all the RTC fat, and I think this was like right after Victoria or May. Oh no, it was during Victoria, because on the Stevie Night Heat episode after that, I talked about how it was so great that I wrestled Goldberg and the ratings are going to go through the roof, and I gave him a rub. And but basically, I sacrificed for my roster. That was the beautiful part. I could do a job on Raw and then cut a promo on Heat. As most heels and baby faces, if you lose a match or you're beat down or whatever, the promo or the segment immediately after that is the most important segment to get yourself back on track. Well, his style felt inexperienced in the ring, but Goldberg would do what Goldberg would do, and it would all be very much there, very heavy. Like I said, hard in safe places, sometimes just hard in general. But the reason why I think Bill, what he might have learned more than anything was, okay, this guy's giving me his body. This guy is more experienced, but this guy's giving me his body. He's putting me over in record time. I'm essentially squashing him. Maybe I'll let him develop or formulate how to do that job. If I'm wrestling somebody and they're putting me over, I would say, and Bill, I'm paraphrasing, but I think I was like, hey, Bill, what do you want to do tonight? He goes, hey, Stevie, whatever you want to do, man. You're putting me over. You know what to do. So he deferred to me because I had a lot of experience making talents look as good as I can make them look. That's really what I don't think it's greener inexperience. I think it's just courtesy. It's a common courtesy in wrestling. It's kind of like agents. Agents would go up to talents that are putting people over and say, hey, we need 8 minutes. And hey, they would say, hey, we need 8 minutes, 50-50, or, we need more shine in the heat or whatever. And hey, do you mind taking his finish and putting him over? We really appreciate it. Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That goes a long way. So he's good. Plus, it's an easy night for him because all he has to do is just basically do his 3 moves, and it's formulated the way I am. And I just thought, I told him, I go, everybody just wait for you to get in the ring. I go, you can no sell whatever I do, but why would I wait for you? Why would I come get you, but you're going to no sell and just beat me up anyway? It at least gets me to a point, well, he tried, but he's not stupid. He's just trying, but it's no good. That's what I would have chalked it up to. At 2003, 2004, he had not evolved move-wise. He had not evolved, how should I say, somewhat psychology-wise, but he knew what Goldberg was, and he knew how to get over, and he knew how to draw money with that. So why do more? That's like a double-edged sword. Why would he learn how to do arm drags if that's not Goldberg? Doesn't make sense.
I remember in the WCW days, he would introduce a new move every single week, which I really loved in the early days, and then he just sort of stripped it out, and then he was always doing the basics. So that's why, I loved him in WCW. It's one of my favorites.
I think the Office told him. The Office did a great favor to him, because what if he just kept popping out moves? And remember Big Show, when he was the Giant, he could do moonsaults. He could do all these things. He was so athletic. Paul was so athletic back then, and he still was in WWE for a time, that, oh, he can jump and he do this? Let's see if Luger can put him up in a torture rack. Let's see if Goldberg can spear him and jackhammer him. He became too good for his own good and started putting people over. Because, man, you press slam a 500-pound giant. That's impressive. But it ended up hurting him.
Stevie Richards, versus Goldberg was July 28th, 2003. I just had to look that up there. We'll talk about Goldberg a bit more.
Coming up on the anniversary, huh?
Hey, God, yeah. What's the date today? Oh, yeah, 18 days away as we record this. So
maybe we can celebrate the anniversary by him beating me up again.
Why
it's
not?
Like a yearly thing.
Hey, well, the thing is, I think his booking fee is going to be quite high. So maybe in a couple of years' time, when we save up some money. Did we talk about
my booking fee to go up based on this? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, well, with the finances and stuff like that, we'll leave it for the day. when did Goldberg start getting intense? So he gets, to the arena at whatever time he gets to the arena in, I guess. When did he start getting a bit, you know what I mean? Just jaw clenching, rocking back and forth, and then start getting into the zone?
I wish I paid more attention to people, but I think by recollection, which the timing could be, I know when Goldberg would, go to catering, do whatever, and then the 4 o'clock unbooked catering most times, but Goldberg was booked. He'd have his coffee and he'd have the stirrer. And I just know if he started stirring it more and more and more, I'm like, it's getting closer. It's getting closer. And then, of course, the story that you want to hear again and everybody would want to hear. I believe once again, this was either Massachusetts, New Hampshire, or Maine, one of those Northeast states. We were doing a house show and it was with Dreamer. That was by the monitor, in the arena. And at a house show, they would bring monitors sometimes or do whatever so the boys could watch it. And there was a soda machine, the infamous soda machine that never hurt anybody, except for Goldberg, is my assumption. Because on the way to the curtain, there would always be a soda machine or a vending machine or a fireproof door. And Goldberg would immediately start to have an issue with this soda machine. And this soda machine must have insulted him and disrespected him to a point where Goldberg will start throwing forearm shivers, headbutts, and like a can opener knees to the soda machine. But he would headbutt it more than anything. And famously, when he went to wrestle Undertaker in Saudi Arabia, the rumor, urban legend is that he concussed himself headbutting a door. So that was his ritual before, and I'm sure he carried over from football where you had helmet to helmet, stuff like that. But I remember him doing it every other time. People would just watch and then he would walk off and do whatever. This time he headbutted, he punched, did whatever, headbutted again. Wow, right away. And Dreamer went up and go, no, you be good, soda machine. He started chastising the soda machine for misbehaving. So that was my favorite story. What's wrong with just drinking an energy drink or just meditating before your match?
Maybe he's pissed off they didn't have any Diet Fanta or something like that. Who knows?
It was usually me out there in the ring. Like Tommy's like, and he saw Tommy making fun of him. I go, dude, I got to probably wrestle this dude on Monday. He was like, no, I go.
What was his wind down ritual if he had one?
I was on my way to the hospital, so I had no clue.
No, it's fine then.
I was having my ribs taped.
One more thing about Goldberg. How many people did he really injure in WCW or WWE? Because obviously he'd hurt you, he'd rough you up. He was very stiff, as you say, not as bad as Heidenreich. That's a video for another day. But apart from Brett, which we talked about last week, and maybe apart from Vince Russo, which I don't know if Vince Russo thinks Goldberg did it on purpose or not. I was getting the impression that maybe he thought he did. Who's Goldberg actually hurt?
I can't say injured outside of the concussions with Russo and then the obvious, Bret Hart thing that was mixed in with the other matches and all that stuff. The Russo thing, I don't believe Bill would ever intentionally hurt anybody. Knowing what I know from him personally, now the business and being in the ring, getting yourself over, being excited, the adrenaline rush, and then trying to get your stuff in, all that mixed into one could be a recipe for disaster where unintentional could be subconsciously intentional. Because I got to do this to get over. The Russo thing, I think, this is where I wish more people, they kind of make fun of me, and it's fine for being so detail oriented, so obsessive with distance, where we're at, function, form. But if it were me, I would look at the distance of the cage to the railing and say, okay, if I fall back, where's the cage going to end up and where's my head and body going to end up? In other words, I don't know how you do it because the ring is a set amount as far as 16 by 16. The Hell in a Cell is a certain width and, around the ring.
Let me just pick you up on that. Sorry. WCW's got a 16 by 16 ring. I'd always heard, and you mentioned this last week as well, and I didn't mention it. I'd always heard it was 18 by 18. Is WCW's definitely 16 by 16?
They might have switched it up. I just remember it being incredibly small, even coming from ECW to WCW. I heard it was 16 by 16. Just my my eye, measuring with my eye and my memory from going from that ring and then having to retrain myself completely on a WWE ring, or at the time, WWF. WWF is a true 20-foot ring, but also the ropes are real ropes. So you have to adjust from cable ropes, which are very taut and tight, and then go to ropes. It's a big difference. And then you got to add another, even with, all right, even if it was 18 feet, which let's just get the fact check up, a factoid, you're still talking about 2 extra feet both ways. That's a lot. So 4 extra feet, which when I was looking at the WCW ring, when we did Disney MGM, I did those tapings when I was at WCW. The ring looked extremely small in a small building, whereas WWE's ring looks big even in a big arena. So I don't know. I mean, I've heard 16 by 16. I never got out a measuring tape on anything, but I do recall that like going back to those rings, the smaller rings post WWE on the indies, it feels claustrophobic. It feels like you're going to bump into the ropes like every single time, which adjusts the way you move because, say, for a shoulder block in WWE, you should run into the guy anyway to have room to bump behind you. But you really have to be aware of it in a ring smaller than the WWE ring because if you're standing back in the middle of the ring waiting to be shoulder blocked and they run you over, you're going to be dangerously close to the ropes when you take that back bump.
I think that's pretty much it, really. I think that's going to be a future segment, WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW, Ring of Honor, and whatever else rings, and comparing them all and which ones you liked and da-da-da. The secrets of the ring, we will call it for a future episode. But for now, everybody, thank you so much for watching the Stevie Richards Show. Not only are we on YouTube with a brand new episode every single Friday, we are also on every single podcast platform, easy for me to say, as well, iTunes and, see, I want to say Google Podcast, but that just ended a few months ago. So Stitcher and iHeartRadio and all that kind of thing were on there as well. So I know this is mostly a visual medium, but if you can't watch us, then you might as well listen to us and whatever you're doing at work or traveling or wherever you want us to be with you. But thank you so much for all the support you're showing us. And we'll do the plugs one more time as well. I've got 2 books, Owen Hart, the Rock descriptions are in the, the links are in the description as well. But I'll throw it over to you, Stevie, for the outro and anything else you want to say.
Yeah, I just want to echo thank you. I'm grateful as well as James for all the immense support in this short time and the growth of the Stevie Richards Show. We're in episode 3. We're just finishing up, but we're just getting started trying to improve the production, have the segments, have more of a format, and bring more value to each and every one of you out there. I have another brand, Stevie Richards Fitness. If you could check that out, subscribe, click the bell to get notified. And also, I talked about in the beginning, I may do a behind the scenes channel to give everybody an idea of what goes on here, how we work together and everything, and also the technology and everything that we have here. We want to educate people, help them, but also empower you if you want to do something similar. There's enough space here for everybody, and competition's good.
Those opinions of Stevie Richards only.
Sorry?
I said those are the opinions of Stevie Richards, may not reflect everybody on this show. No,
I'm used to giving my spot up. It's okay.
No, I'm aggressively competitive with this kind of thing. All right, then. On that note, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next Friday.